It was a big night for Monday Night Raw. We're building to Survivor Series. This Survivor Series team is coming together. Drew McIntyre can claim more than just one man. He can claim two men. Have the Hurt Business set themselves up to get a title win because they won a non-title match against the championship team. There's an AEW video game coming on, and we hope the world doesn't fall apart. It's WrestleZone wrap-up for a Monday. Are you sharing the link? You better be. Sticker and emoted. What's up, everybody? I am Kevin Kelm. I am not alone. Joining me from central Pennsylvania, a state that could be critical in tomorrow's general election, Mr. John Clark. Big John Clark, 7.5 dog. We'll find out about his rating for tonight's Monday at Raw. John, how are you? You got a fresh cut there. You're looking pretty smooth there. Look, there we go. I like this. Lined up Clark. Here we go.
Just for the show.
Just for me. Thank you so much. If you're with us live for the first time on Facebook or on YouTube, if you're watching on demand, get your comments down below. We will even react to you, even if you're not with us live. So don't even think that you guys are out of the mix. But if you are, we'll get your comments on screen. Love seeing the faithful faces I've seen in here before. But if you're with us for the first time, let us know what you thought of Monday Night Raw, what you thought of the breaking news in the world of wrestling today, including the AEW video game. We're going to talk about that today. Yes, there is an AEW video game. It is coming, and we will get into it. I love people yelling along with the theme song. We'll talk about Miz trying to cash in the Money in the Bank briefcase on tonight's WWE Raw. Everything going on in the WWE, everything going on with NXT. John, I know you have some very exciting things to say, because if people listen to the show, John said some controversial things. I had some fans telling me, some fans of the show saying it was controversial what John was saying. It wasn't that controversial. He will
gloat.
It
was a bold take.
And if you're an AEW fan, you may not like what he has to say. If you're an AEW loyalist,
AEW fans will never like what I have to say.
No, I won't say that. Don't write yourself off like that. But if you're an AEW loyalist, if you're one of those people who are like, AEW needs to win, you won't like what he has to say, and it's based on facts. Okay. People asking about that video game. We'll get into it. We're getting an announcement next week, but we'll talk and speculate about what that is. But let's get into Monday Night Raw. Daniel Miller saying Raw is always boring. I use it as a sleep aid. We use SmackDown.
That comment got me. It's good. It's true, kind of.
All right. We have a very fun feel coming on to SmackDown this past week, rolling off of the pay-per-view. They really have what many people think is the best storyline in all of wrestling on SmackDown with the Tribal Chief and Roman Reigns. Some fans were saying it may be the best thing ever with Jey Uso now coming into line and a really fun main event with Daniel Bryan. But people maybe not feeling as much of the energy, good vibes on Monday Night Raw. Now, I got to see a chunk of it, not all of it. I'll be clear in saying that because I was doing my civic duty of voting. And it took quite some time to do that. It took a couple hours to do that. So I was getting home while Raw was on.
Jumping the gun here. Jumping the gun.
I didn't trump the gun. I'm not biting down my hatches either.
I said jump the gun.
I'm messing with you, buddy.
I know.
All right. But we're going to get into all of it, and we'll talk about Monday Night Raw. So what do you think of Monday Night Raw? Miz nearly cashes in the opening segment of the show. They're really teasing the Fiend attacking Randy Orton, but not doing it, and then it being this distraction thing. They did it last week. They did it again this week, and Miz nearly cashed in on Randy Orton here.
Yeah, they really genuinely had me convinced that they were going to go through with it. It really looked like that was going to be the moment they were going to do it. And I didn't know in that specific moment in time if I thought it was a good idea or not. But regardless of what I thought, it didn't happen, but I genuinely thought that it was going to happen. But I think now they kind of settled into this storyline they're going to be doing. I don't think it's really the right time now. I don't know what you think. It's always okay to tease it once in a while. So, this is the first time it's actually happened because Otis never did it. So I'm okay with it.
I don't mind the teases. It keeps it compelling. It keeps it interesting. It keeps your focus on knowing that Miz, even if he loses a match, can still be the world champion because he has that Money in the Bank briefcase. It is, I will say this, for the most part, I think most of the people that get it, some people have gotten it and are not protected. Miz, even in what happened with him later on tonight, he starts the show, he closes the show. Everyone's say, "Oh, they're already burying him." Don't do that. People have to know what buried means. Miz has this briefcase and is now a central player in the title scene, a central player in it. And it isn't just exclusively anymore Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre. They have The Fiend, they have The Miz, and they have Drew, which I think could be a little bit more interesting if it develops. I'm interested to see. I don't want to say I'm looking past Survivor Series, but maybe something with these four guys involved in a match of some kind at the TLC, the December pay-per-view. That could be interesting, but does it have enough gas in the tank to go that far?
Yeah, I think so. I think because of the whole superstar shakeup we just had and rebuilding these storylines kind of in a new, unique way. And like we mentioned before, I still think that Colin from one of our WrestleZone buddies explained Survivor Series the best I've heard as like an all-star type game. I know you agreed with that.
Mm-hmm.
I think they have plenty
they're almost selling it that way. The best.
Yeah,
of the best.
yes, they definitely are, and I do think that is why they definitely have enough to last us into December because they're kind of taking a break from a lot of the storylines right now to do this. So I think they're fine with that.
That is the thing that kind of bums me about Survivor Series. They're building up to a degree, but it's like the New Day tonight in the Hurt Business. They had a match in the third hour. I really enjoyed it. I liked the way kind of like the Hurt Business kind of cut off New Day every time they got momentum going. I like that, where it just seems like they always knew their number. And also, Hurt Business needs to look like a threat, not just these guys that squash Retribution, because I don't think enough fans really care about Retribution. We'll talk about them within the show. This is interesting. They got a clean win on the New Day, but the thing is, the New Day is going to take on the tag team champs from SmackDown and Survivor Series. So, like, where does this build to it? Survivor Series feels like a special, almost non-canon show where Raw and SmackDown are going to have their own storylines. They're really going to try and develop the brands and all the new combinations they have, even though none of them really feel new. I mean, you have Miz there, you have the Fiends there, SmackDown, I think, just has such hot storylines they could keep going with them. But I don't know. Survivor Series, they put some teams together here. We have new members for the Raw Survivor Series team. What do you think of that?
I like what they're doing with it. They're kind of doing like an alpha type thing where, AJ Styles is the self-proclaimed captain and everybody else wants
Mhm.
their, I guess, praise, you could say, of being an asset to the team. I was really hoping at the end there when Sheamus kind of approached Drew McIntyre and asked him that Drew would say yes, because I do think, obviously since Orton and Reigns are going to go at it at Survivor Series, having Drew in this match would kind of give him something to do, and kind of, it would just make sense to me. But as far as the team itself and who we got right now, Braun Strowman, the newest member, I think that's a good idea. So I'm curious to see with the last remaining spot available who's going to get it. I'm going to throw out a name who I think is going to get it. I think it's probably going to be King Corbin. He's been away since he's today
Yeah,
is
we haven't
today's
seen him since
exactly
the
one
draft.
month. Today's exactly 1 month
Yeah,
since we've seen him. Yeah.
I would say I haven't heard anything from him since
So
the
he
draft.
is my prediction for the fifth member, which basically, with the exception of Keith Lee, makes Raw a heel team. And if you look at who we got on SmackDown right now, I believe it's just Jey Uso and Kevin Owens.
Yes.
So they could very well try to be like a more of a babyface team. So we'll see how it ends up.
Other people chiming in here. We have several fans noting Big Jordan, a very, very large 7'3" Goliath that is in the corner of AJ. They feel he'll have some intimidating presence at Survivor Series. Jimmy Williams say slowly working towards Strowman versus AJ's big man, Big Jordan. Just waiting for it. That could be quite the match. They like Braun Strowman taking on other big guys.
Yeah, they do. I think that, like I mentioned before, ever since he got done dropping the belt and got done with the Fiend and stuff, he's kind of got a little bit lost in the fold, and I think he needs to start, kind of finding a spot again. It's been very well documented that Vince is a fan of him, but a lot of the writers are kind of thinking he's starting to wear out a little bit. So they got to get something fresh for him here, and hopefully this will lead into something.
Definitely. What are some other highlights here on Raw, and how do you feel about the women's side of action? They're going to have a Survivor Series team, and how is that coming together? Because I know Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler, they had something to say about it, and they were in action tonight.
Yeah, so we saw a Lana taking on Nia Jax tonight. After we saw Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke versus Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. Basically, Lana came out. She wanted to make her presence felt because she's a fifth member of the team. She wants to be involved too, you know.
Yes.
And uh, Baszler and Jax win. The match wasn't necessarily that great. It was, just like a fun little match to kind of build the team for Survivor Series. Later in the night, we did get Lana versus Nia Jax. Nia Jax squashed Lana, but Lana was kind of playing the role of like, I'm not going to give up. I'm a fighter. I want to prove my spot on this team. And a lot of people do think that this is leading to something pretty significant for Lana, whether that be a babyface push or whatever. But regardless, just as we thought that Lana wouldn't get put through a table again, the seventh week in a row, Lana gets put through a table again, and no,
It is.
no,
Here's the thing: we're laughing about it, and people are tweeting about it, and it's. I wouldn't say it's organic, but it's become a thing that I think people do look forward to.
yeah, I do. I think at this point now, even though they're kind of like building up to it before it happens, where the first couple weeks it was just kind of like a random thing. But one thing I wanted to mention again about the ladies is Asuka tonight. It appeared that she wasn't really a big factor on the show. That was kind of
Interesting.
curious to me. She really wasn't.
I don't know how to take that. I don't know how to take that.
Well, I think it's because, like I said, right now they're doing this all-star type thing here, where they're doing Survivor Series, and they don't really want to start anything new with Asuka yet. So if they keep her off TV, then she doesn't have to do anything, Because I
Mm.
do think that Charlotte will be back soon, and I think that's who's going to probably get put with Asuka.
So overall, what do you think of the build to Survivor Series? I'm still in the camp. I think this show is missing NXT, and NXT could benefit from that. But I also understand. I think it's just they want to keep all those camps separate. They don't want to
Yeah,
interact.
so I'm okay with them being excluded this year, being, they got the whole likely War Games build going to be coming up. So I'm okay with that. And last year, as much as we want to say it was planned out beforehand, it could have very well been a last second thing when, they were stuck in Saudi Arabia. Let's invade NXT because that's all we have. So, I mean, we don't know how much of that was already planned, but I I like the build, but I don't necessarily like how the card is shaping up to be. I'm not one when you watch these NFL, NBA, MLB All-Star games. To me, they're pointless. This kind of falls into the same category as kind of
It
being
feels like the Pro Bowl.
yeah.
To a
It
degree.
kind of feels like pointless.
Well, I think it also like what are the stakes? Like, what do you get if you win? And in the sense
Nothing.
of survive. Well, that was the thing about Hell in a Cell that was so interesting. Is almost every single one of those matches where the cell came down, something was at stake. Like something was to be gained or lost. And I think for fans that watch all the time, you need to give us that. And especially now, this isn't the casual fan season. Football's in full swing. WWE is going to get blown out at least tonight. I don't expect them to have a high rating. I think news coverage is going to go through the roof, and
Yeah.
we're expecting TV news ratings to be the dominating force of media consumption for the better part of the next week or so.
Yes, I was
So
gonna
I mean,
say
like,
if we want to see ratings take a hit, we want to keep our eyes on Wednesday because if we don't know the
yeah,
result of this thing yet,
yeah, and I mean, there. So whatever you want to talk, we'll talk about Wednesday ratings too, because the Wednesday ratings for this past week were interesting, and I know that you have something to say about it.
we'll get there. We'll get there.
Not selling teas. Oh, if you're with the whole show, you're gonna love what he has to say. So I think WWE, in the middle of all that noise, needs to give people consistently, because I thought they did it Hell in a Cell, and that was such a good show. That was such a good show. If you only watch the network shows, I know there's some fans that only follow on YouTube and they just watch the network, right? They don't watch Raw or SmackDown unless there's something big, and they'll watch the clips on YouTube. That's the way my nephew does. He's like, oh, I'm catching up on YouTube. And that's the only way he watches Monday Night Raw now. And he's like, and then I'll watch on the network.
I also know people that do that. They used to watch back in the day, but now it's like, well, why? And I honestly think in a way that hurts when WWE just uploads those 5-minute segments of every part of the show.
Yeah,
Then
but at the same
people
time,
know, hey, I don't have to watch the show because I'm going to get this
I
after.
get it, but at the same time, I think it's such a digital presence that they have that they've gotten so good at since they really invested in that about 10 years ago. You're talking about a company that's got billions and billions and billions of views on YouTube, like far and away they're playing like near one of the major league sports with the amount of presence they have on YouTube. So I understand where you kind of feed that beast. You get caught up in it. You have to keep thinking. Other comments here. I want to know this. We're talking about Survivor Series, and we'll continue to talk about Monday Night Raw. This is a great question from Daniel Miller. Keep Charlotte off TV. Shows are bad enough without her. So he doesn't like her. He's even worse than the queen on them. She buries the entire women's division. Doesn't even elevate anyone. Yes, she does. She's done that more than a few times. So when does Charlotte enter the play? Because a lot of people think it's Charlotte, who's been out of the scene now, since sometime in the summer, is bound to come back here and re-enter the scene and be a part of that big Survivor Series match. She is drafted to Raw. How many slots do we have left on the Raw team now?
None.
2?
The Raw team is
they're all full.
Yeah.
So I mean, well then now we're looking at her coming back maybe in December or maybe sometime after
I'm gonna say the absolute latest we see her back is the Royal Rumble. I think the earliest we get her is maybe right around that
she would be a great.
pay-per-view.
And I think it'd be interesting just to say she's coming back at the Rumble, and she won it. She's won. I think.
No. Don't have her win it though. Don't have her win it.
Don't have her win it. Don't do that. What else? What else piqued your fancy here tonight on Monday Night Raw?
Firefly Funhouse deserves a little bit of a conversation here. Alexa Bliss continues to absolutely be perfect in this role of playing that little excited girl, you get what I'm saying. And so they do this promo in Firefly Funhouse where I forget the vulture's name. I think it's Abby the Witch. Yeah, Abby the Witch. She basically told Alexa Bliss that, you're not going to be my boss, and basically told her F you to go F herself.
You have an alpha female situation between Alexa Bliss and a puppet.
Yeah. So then they go about this.
This is the Firefly Funhouse, and it's gotten that wacky. We can buy into it, I guess.
Yeah. So then they continue, and it ends with Bliss saying that she's going to show a new trick, and Wyatt puts his hand over her mouth again. And when he uncovers it, she is oozing what appears to be blood from her mouth. And Bray Wyatt looks at the camera and goes, "Oh, shit." And it pans out.
He made someone bleed from their mouth.
I guess. I mean, it was a very good segment. And then to just kind of wrap up this part of it, she appeared later in the night backstage. Nikki Cross came up to her and said, "Hey, you haven't answered my text. You haven't answered my calls. I know this isn't the true, you. What's the holdup here?" She just completely ignores Stone Cold facing the other way. And Nikki Cross grabs her, turns her around, and she has the old all-white eye contact.
Oh, no.
And Nikki Cross runs away.
Those aren't contacts. Those are her real eyes, dude. Those are her real eyes. I tweeted out at WrestleZone.com that scene reminded me of like when your friend goes way too goth, in high school when your friend was really goth. It wasn't just like, let's wear a black t-shirt and jeans. It's no, I'm goth now, and goth is my thing that I do, and I'm goth.
So here's what I think. Well, I know we've been talking about Charlotte a little bit, but here's what I think. We're eventually going to see Bliss perform under some gimmick with Wyatt. She's going to be an in-ring competitor. And I do think that she will be the one to defeat Asuka for the title. And then Charlotte will enter the fold after that. That is my thought process on the whole thing. Because Bliss has already proven that she can do this role perfectly. And with Wyatt's assistance, the sky is the limit for this pairing.
Let's cover this. Jimmy Williams, did you see Keith Lee almost injure himself? Should he quit the high-risk moves? Tell me about Keith Lee tonight. I guess this was a scary spot. I saw several people talk about this on Twitter today.
Yeah, he kind of misprojected his move. And it was close, but I wouldn't say it was nothing close enough where he should quit doing them. I mean, he's known for doing these high risk moves. He's confident in doing them. It was one mishap. I know sometimes all it takes is once to have a really bad moment, but I don't think this was severe enough where you say, okay, we're not going to do this anymore because he's kind of known for doing that. Like, he's known as like that high flying big guy.
I know, but I also don't think a guy like him has to do that all the time, and I'm not saying he does, by any means. But it is something where dude, do you need to do that? Like I just have to start asking myself, like, oh, dude, you have the spirit bomb, you have all these cool moves. Do you need to do that? I see that sometimes with Damian Priest on NXT, that he's this very, very tall, very large guy who's doing a lot of very aerial moves. And maybe you do that at the end of the match. Maybe you're Bronson Reed who does it, saves it just for the end. I don't know. It was kind of scary, though.
Yeah, it was. I'm just saying, like, I don't think he needs to stop doing it forever. I mean, obviously not every week, but he doesn't have to stop doing it forever.
Tracy Ransom wants to talk about the guitar on a pole match with Jeff Hardy and Elias. Of course, I believe Jeff Hardy is successful here. Tracy says, I liked how Jeff Hardy looked with his rainbow-colored face and rainbow-colored sleeves when he was on Raw. She liked the look tonight.
Yeah, it was a good look, and I mean, it wasn't a bad match. The storyline is quickly kind of well, getting old. Yeah,
It just reeks of big card. It doesn't reek of anything like big. Elias will lose. Jeff Hardy be cool. It's just something for Jeff Hardy to do before you want him to go chase a title.
Which he will probably at some point.
Yeah, but it'll be after.
He'll eventually fight Orton for it. I think.
It'll be after Survivor Series. I think he'll do something big in December or January, and this is just, it feels like a holdover. And that's just me watching all the time and like being able to pay attention to it. Now, maybe for a Jeff Hardy fan, this is just a fun way to keep him on the show, and he still has his fans that are just about whatever he does, right? I don't know what favors this does for Elias though, but Elias is a comedic supporting character at this point. That's his role. And that's what he's doing.
Have you listened to his album?
I have not. Have you?
It is pretty good. It's pretty good.
Is it just like country rock stuff, just like outlaw country
style? It's kind of like a gospel rock type thing.
All right. So he's but it's corny though. I heard it's kind of corny in like a playful way. He's still playing the character
with the lyrics, yeah. But I mean, the actual like, if I just went up to a stranger and said, "Hey, listen to this," they wouldn't know that it was some just pro wrestler. They might actually think, "Hey, this is like a singer." He sounds pretty good.
He's not a bad singer. He doesn't sing out of his range. That's me being around. I work in radio. That's number one thing I hear from people. That like sing within the range of your voice. Don't try and like, push your voice to be something it isn't. And that takes a long time to do. So Monday Night Raw has built up some things here for Survivor Series, but most of it's kind of slotted, right? So I think this is more just like, let's get into some cool storylines, and Survivor Series is also going to be a thing. Like I was kind of touching on this a little while ago. Like I said, I want stakes. So Hell in a Cell was so goddamn good because you knew you were going to get a payoff. This or this was going to happen, and it's a big stake. And the hero and the villain are going to fight up to the edge of the cliff of the mountain, and someone's going to go over.
Right.
And I don't feel that sense of exhilaration going into Survivor Series right now. But based on that, this has been the same thing we've been through before. We've had that with some other pay-per-views this year, and they sneak up on us and be really, really good. So I'm not writing off Survivor Series. I mean, Survivor Series happens and it just happens. It's fine. But last year's Survivor Series was one of the best shows of the year for WWE. And so I'm going to wait and let it happen. But this is a kind of middle-of-the-road episode of Monday Night Raw. Am I wrong?
You're not wrong. You're right.
Let's get into that main event. Drew McIntyre versus John Morrison and The Miz. Still teasing that Miz can become the Money in the Bank winner and get that title. We failed to do it earlier in the night. I love the Alabama Slam, where the always flexible and flying John Morrison was used to batter his tag team partner, The Miz, on the outside of the ring. I thought that was cool. Also, we're talking about big men going over the top rope. Drew McIntyre did not heed the warning of Keith Lee earlier in the night. He went over the top rope. It looks really, really good. The Miz and Morrison got their heat in this, but I mean, this was all Drew McIntyre trying to look real red hot. told Sheamus earlier in the night, no, I won't join the team. I want to focus on the title. Only for Drew to be standing tall, taking out the Miz with the Claymore kick. Don't worry, this is the briefcase. He's fine. And Randy Orton takes him out only for spooky. Ha 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 ha.
Imagine the backlash if the bell would have rang when he cashed in, and it was a DQ finish.
Well, I mean, also there was some of it was just like you knew Randy Orton was in the ring and the Miz was there, so that's kind of like interesting. If they just keep doing the thing where like Miz and Orton are near each other, Miz is near the guy who has the title. It's bare bones, but it's not. I'm not against it. Like they keep showing that he can do it every week, and so they give you the idea: is the moment going to happen? Now you can only do Boy Cry Wolf a handful of times before people are going to get burned down on it.
Yeah.
But definitely trying to tease that up here. Other people with their takes texting into the show. But what did you think of Monday Night Raw? Give me that 1 to 10. Give me that 1 to 10. The one being you have to wait in line to vote for a whole day. 10 being, oh wow, I got in and out in 20 minutes.
We're gonna give tonight a 6.
A 6 out of 10.
Yes.
Oh, 6 out of 10. He gives it a 6 out of 10. If you're with us live or you're watching on demand, get down in the comments and tell us what you thought. Give us your Raw 1 to 10 rating. What you thought of the show. Stephen Chambers texting, guessing triple threat. Hell in a Cell. It won't be Hell in a Cell. I think you mean Survivor Series. Orton, Drew, and the Fiend.
No,
Orton's already slotted up there with Reigns, but maybe that's something that happens.
Maybe he meant TLC.
Yeah, maybe he meant TLC. But other people giving Raw a 6. 5.5.
6.
Some people loved it. Got a 10 here. People love this one. They give it a 10.
Oh,
so,
man.
yeah,
Ooh,
people
man.
Hey, people. Hey, sound off. Speak with your voice. It's okay. Definitely here. And I love some Halloween vibes here. Jimmy Williams saying, my son dressed as Jeff Hardy for Halloween. Did you guys ever dress up as a wrestler for kid? Did you dress up as a wrestler for Halloween? That's a good question. I always love that question.
No, I never did.
I wanted to do Macho Man because I feel I have the beard right, and you just need like the right things. That is a very common costume, is Macho Man. I feel I didn't dress up this year because there just wasn't a party to go to, and I still have all my Halloween candy. Like no kids came over where I live. They didn't do any trick or treating, and I bought candies. Okay. And I'm gonna get real fat. After the show. When I'm working on getting the posts, I'm gonna get real fat. But no, I would definitely dress as Macho Man. I've seen some great costumes though. I know a lot of people like doing Mankind. Like you can kind of make the mask yourself with tape and stuff.
Yeah.
Seen some people do some really crafty ones. And if you guys see any, let us know. I would love to share some of those with us on social media. Tag us in it if you've tweeted it. If you see someone who posted over the weekend, I love seeing stuff like that. Even if we're past Halloween, I would love to know. So pretty middle of the road episode of Monday Night Raw, but we have some other news to get into. I know some news that you are proud of. I know we could tease it. We're going to talk AEW, and they have some great news. I think this is really good. This is probably one of the bigger things they've done since getting on television, is now getting into licensing and products and things that fans can take off the TV show and just enjoy themselves. AEW has the video game. You have critical guys in AEW and the culture of what they've developed that have talked about wanting a video game. They've said they want a video game. The fans want the video game from them. Kenny Omega is deeply involved in the video game world, and it's going to happen. We're going to find out next Tuesday during a live stream. They've launched the handle on all the different social medias and on YouTube, AEW Game. And you're going to find out about what this game is. Now, there is already people bitching if the game is, I'm waiting for we got a run-in. We got a Robert DeFelis run-in here in a second here. Robert, give me 1 second. I'm going to fire you up here in just a second. And we'll get Robert in here in just a minute. But AEW video game, what do you think of this? This is coming next Tuesday.
I guess I need to wait to see a little more of what it's going to be. Is it going to be an arcade? Is it going to be a simulation? I mean, great for them that they're doing this. Who's developing it? So many more questions to be answered before anybody can give a true opinion on what they think about this.
Mm-hmm. I've already seen people say they'll be really mad if it's simply a mobile game. If it's simply just a small scale mobile game that maybe plays off
like WWE Supercard.
Yeah, but Supercard's a fun game if you just want to play mobile game. And also WWE introduced that well after they got well into here are simulation games, here are full scale games, here are games with creative player and all these different things. And Supercard is designed to be a simple point, click, and go with it game that you can play on your phone. And it's not super dynamic, and it is in a simulation of wrestling. It's not a console game. It's not designed for that. And I think it's fine, you know. In terms of video games, obviously everyone's going to compare it and say this is so much better than the recent WWE games and and I don't understand. WWE's made a lot of very good video games, like a lot of very, very good ones. They just recently had a bad track record. And I understand a lot of people love Battlegrounds. They really enjoy the game. It's gotten a pretty solid response. There are some issues with it, but I hear a lot of people don't like having to earn a lot of different things in it. Like you have to work your way up or buy into stuff, microtransactions. I think it's a major issue across all video games right now at some point. Now, I do think if it is a mobile game, fans could get upset. But I'm of the thought where I don't think that's the case. I do think the critical thing in terms of if we know the scale of the game, is this going to be a full-fledged game on the scale of a WWE 2K, on the scale of an NBA simulation game or any type of sports simulation, is what developer they're working with. If they've secured a really, really good developer, if they're with the right studio, I mean, if they go and say that this is going to be done by Electronic Arts, like that would be huge. That would be massive for them. And they would be from the same.
I can't see that happening, no.
I mean, who knows? You know, people were shocked when this team announced they were working with Warner Media and they were going to be on.
I could see like somebody like Square Enix or something like that.
I could. I'm on the side where I don't see an Electronic Arts, one of your big players in the video game industry. I don't see. I mean, obviously, you're not going to see THQ. You're not going to see any conflict there.
Not 2K.
Not 2K. I mean, THQ maybe because you know there's some wedge room there. But I'm of the thought where I think it's an outside developer. And they go with somebody who has a little bit of a tracker, like a Square Enix, who they have their franchises they develop on. Square Enix has a good ability to get their games on multiple consoles. I think that's the main thing. If it is a console game, you're not gonna get yourself into the thing where it's like, all right, we're going with one thing or the other. WWE never did that, and it was always smart. And you could always get the game on every console if you wanted it. Maybe it would be a little bit delayed getting one or the other, but that's more a manufacturing distribution type thing than it is a licensing thing. Right now for AEW, I think it's a licensing thing. Is the brand big enough to get themselves on a console? And some people say, you think they are. So you think you're going to see this game on the Xbox X series and you're going to see it on PS5?
At least PS4 and Xbox. Yeah, maybe next gen they might as well.
We're in that year where the new console's coming out.
It just depends, and they might come out and say, "Well, this ain't coming out till 2022." I mean, you never know. Video games are announced way, way ahead of time, all the time, almost a year in advance. So you never know when it's actually going to come out.
People are still telling us that WWE 2K20 was horrible. It was an awful game. And I don't know. I played it a few times. It was fine, mind you. I think I would have been more upset if I bought that game, but I was just playing with friends and stuff like that. So let's get into this big bet. This big bet you made last week. You didn't bet anything, but you certainly bet some pride on this. Last Wednesday, you and I did a show coming out of Halloween Havoc and AEW Dynamite. And AEW Dynamite set up some big things for Full Gear. We know that Hangman Page and Omega will face each other, and the winner will get the shot at the AEW World Title in the future. They set up a big match between MJF and Chris Jericho. Meanwhile, NXT had basically a pay-per-view on television with Halloween Havoc, and they crowned a new North American champion, Johnny Gargano. They had a lot of spookiness, and they had a haunted house match, maybe the biggest match that Dexter Loomis and Grimes have had on TV. Very, very fun. And you bet. You didn't bet anything. Definitely bet maybe your podcast.
I wanted to.
You bet your podcast pride, John Clark. And let it be known, anyone who's watching the show for the first time or listening, is John Clark has been very open, almost like someone on Fox News, about his bias. He's open about his bias on Wednesday nights for one yellow and black WWE NXT.
We have people over here.
You don't hate AEW, right? You don't hate it, right, John? But you definitely have a preference, all right, before the bell rings. So you were telling me that you thought Halloween Havoc is gonna beat AEW in the ratings, and it's gonna beat him in the certain margin of around 300,000 viewers. That the tides are kind of switch.
Whoa! I didn't say 300,000. That's a lot.
What'd you say though?
I said they would win by 80,000 viewers. They won by 90,000.
So let's get into it. You won this big bet. Break down the numbers. How do you feel, John? I'll let you strut the walk here. I'll let you do your touchdown dance.
There are people over here in the comments that can back me up because they were watching. And this was last Wednesday, directly after and I first brought it up 2 weeks ago, but then we talked about it again last week after the show. Before the ratings came out, I said, look.
You were calling this for weeks. I'm proud of you for doing that, man.
I said NXT is going to have 860,000 viewers. And this is in a recording that you can watch last week. It is on here. I said
you are so proud of yourself.
I said they were going to get 860,000, and they got 876,000. And then I said that Dynamite was going to get 740. Now, I was a little off because they got 780. But, nevertheless, I tried to say after I was 1 for 1 about Damian Priest winning the NXT North American Championship. Then I was 2 for 2 when I said Finn Balor was going to win the NXT Championship. And now I am 3 for 3 when I said that Halloween Havoc NXT would beat AEW in viewership. And what happened? They did. And I know Robert doubted me. Robert definitely doubted and said no way. Did you doubt it too? Because I think a part of you.
I did doubt it, but I did feel that NXT would definitely have an improved night based on recent weeks. That more people would be interested in what they were doing.
Fair enough.
But if you're an AEW fan, you're going to say, "Oh, this is just a once in a while thing."
Well, that's what I was just going to say. It's not going to happen again this Wednesday.
So you think AEW gets the win back?
Oh yeah.
It'd be interesting if NXT is able to make it competitive here going forward. But I also think it's kind of a wash with the news cycle. It's going to feel like a wash with if a lot of viewers are going to be like, why am I watching wrestling live tonight? I'll wait and watch it on DVR or Hulu or the network or WWE Network, at least for NXT.
Are you saying it's more important for people to know who the president is than watching the live NXT?
You didn't even bring up AEW. You're like, come on now, dude. Yellow and black, dude. All right, whatever. I voted. I did what I was supposed to do.
They're kind of yellow and black too, though, in a way.
No, you are right. They are yellow and black. Yeah. Are you telling me it's more important?
Look, Jeff never doubted me. Jeff never doubted me.
People in the chat that did not doubt you. They were all behind you in this big bet that you made. It was a big bet, though. Like, if you would have lost, would you have been upset?
Yes.
Okay. All right. You're honest about it. You're honest about it. Hey, man, you jumped up.
I won't be upset if I'm wrong again this week, though.
Okay. All right. So, but you're saying it. So you're calling your shots.
I'm not guaranteeing this week. I'm just saying I think that AEW will rebound. I'm not guaranteeing it like I did last week.
Steven Chambers says, I won't be surprised if NXT beats AEW again.
And I wouldn't be either, because the last time they did, it lasted like 3 or 4 weeks in a row.
And this was the pattern last November. But mind you, when that happened last November, you had Raw and SmackDown guys on NXT. They were popping up and stuff like that. So it will certainly be interesting here. Of course, big fan of the show. Watches every single episode. Always with us live. Thank you so much, James Espanto. James Espanto. Fernando Taguay says, if WZD, we're now WrestleZone wrap-up, but I'll take WZD. If WZD had a championship title for predicting, John Clark would be reigning, defending, undisputed champion of the world. Maybe we do that in the future. We do a prediction.
Tell the higher-ups they need to make a championship belt.
Make a belt. Strap them up. Yeah, definitely.
Ship it across the country.
We're gonna have to spend a lot of money shipping that belt around. So
No,
if
it'll
you've
stay right here. So
whatever. See, look at him. Oh, he's talking big. Oh, he's puffing his chest out. How Philly of him. How Philly of him. We have a lot to come up this week. We'll have WrestleZone wrap up Monday through Thursday. We'll have the SmackDown Double Down on Friday nights into Saturday mornings. Also, we have the News Flash now. So the News Flash, you won't get it in the podcast feed, but if you follow us on Facebook and YouTube, that pops up during the day with random stories that pop up. I recently did one about Kaylee Ray. She announcing that she is no longer in professional wrestling, clarifying her status. I hope she is very well and is on a healthier road to life. Sadly, she was not present at the Impact Bound for Glory show and was replaced, and people got concerned. Very good that she put a message out to her supporters on Patreon and kind of at least had some clarification saying that I'm unwell right now and I'm dealing with a lot, and my life in wrestling is done. I'm happy for her. I hope she has a healthier life beyond wrestling. I don't think we need to know the reasons beyond that. I know a lot of people have been asking us at WrestleZone about it. Do we know anything about it? It isn't our place to know because the person has decided not to clarify that. That's it. If that person doesn't want you to know, you don't get to know. Not everyone, I know, especially with social media, everyone thinks you're supposed to share everything, but I don't think you have to do that in this case. It's not exactly fair. We also cover the upcoming Netflix documentary series on Vince McMahon. And now Stephanie McMahon has gone on the record saying that she's excited, but also nervous. So maybe there's some things in this that maybe reveal quite a bit. And she noted in a recent interview with Token CEO that this is going to focus a lot on his childhood, which was quite rough. It's been, I mean, if you read up on Vince McMahon, he's talked about it, but he's never gone into super big detail. But she's saying things like he didn't have running water until he was 10. He had to use an outhouse as a kid, and lived in a trailer park in North Carolina. And so I mean, that's kind of, wow, that's a lot. And there's been other things that have come out about his childhood that I want to learn, because I'm like, that's a part of who you are, and definitely helps form your character. And he's such an interesting guy because he's been the puppet master about this huge thing. Whether you like it or not, he is the Steven Spielberg of wrestling, and there's certainly something interesting about that guy. And I think maybe even if you don't like him, you'll learn something about him with this. But it will be produced by Bill Simmons, who produced the Andre the Giant documentary with HBO, and it'll be a docuseries, which means they'll have more time to go into some things. And I do think they'll go into some challenging stuff. What do you think about this? Like, I'm looking this for wrestling. This is one of the biggest things I'm looking forward to next year, besides fans coming to shows. Like, I'm looking nearly as much as WrestleMania.
This will probably dive into the XFL failures, other personal issues, stuff like that. I think it'll be really interesting to see how personal it gets.
Mm-hmm. Definitely here. So definitely continue to chime in and tell us what you guys think here. And tell us what you think of this documentary. Tell us what you think of what's going on with WWE Survivor Series. If you're watching on demand, if you're listening on demand, thank you so much. So many people enjoying the show now on podcast form. Thank you so much for those people that are listening. Maybe sometime on Tuesday. Maybe you're listening to this while you're waiting to vote. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I hope you're staying safe. Keep your distance. Wear your mask. Wash your hands. Whatever the people do at the polling place tell you to do that work there, do it. All right. Don't be a jerk. Don't Karen up life. We don't need it anymore. All right. This year's already been rough as it is. John Clark, if they want to follow you on the Twitter machine, where do they go?
John R. Clark 12.
You can follow me at Kev Callum, and of course follow at WrestleZone.com. If you haven't done that already, we're available on Instagram as well. I know some people are only on the gram, and on Facebook. Give us a follow. Also, give us a follow on Facebook. So if you already like our page, follow, because then you get those notifications. On YouTube, subscribe. We got a bunch of stuff on our YouTube right now, including all of the podcasts we do with the WrestleZone wrap up, all that, hours and hours of content for you to consume every single week. Definitely jump into all of it. AEW fans, check out two dynamite dudes with attitudes. Our very own Dominic D'Angelo donning the makeup for a recent episode. He went into the cover my arm there. He went into the Dustin Rhodes half face makeup. I was very impressed by it. He spent a lot of time on it. I'm sorry about running my sleeve on my running nose, but I will run. I will blow my nose. I will not do it in a public space. I will keep each other safe. And at some point, When we all get the needle in the arm, we're going to be back at the wrestling matches. We're going to be back, John. You and I are going to be chugging beers in a parking lot, yelling at kids in a stadium at WrestleMania. Hopefully, right? We're going to be back there, back in the mix. We're going to be at a wrestling show, and maybe we're still going to bitch about the booking. And why aren't they pushing this guy? And why aren't they pushing that guy? But hopefully, when we're watching that wrestling match again in 2021, when we're having so much more fun, what are we actually supposed to do?
Enjoy wrestling.
Is that a gang sign? Oh, Undisputed Era. Okay, cool.